friends, and welcome to the video. If you've never seen my face before, I'm Olivia, and as you see behind me, I am a fragrance enthusiast, reviewer, whatever you'd like to call me, and today I am going to be continuing the summer series where I'm talking about perfumes of every single category that will be good for summertime. So today's category is going to be floral fragrances for summer. And this list was so hard to narrow down because when I say I have an absolute boatload of floral fragrances, I have a boatload of floral fragrances. So if you love florals, you're in the right place, but if you are a floral naysayer, I might just have something for you. So let's get started. So today I'm going to start with something very affordable. So that is from the house of Pacifica. And I've talked about Pacifica a number of times on this channel. You can find them at Target for very, very affordable. And this is French Lilac. So this is actually their body mist version. And I think these run for about $12. And when I say that this smells like a photorealistic bush of lilacs, big, fluffy purple lilacs. There's no other way to describe it. There is a little bit of greenness, and lilac is a very gentle floral. It's not a sharp, piercing floral that you get from some white florals. It is soft and delicate, very feminine, and when I say this is incredibly photorealistic, I mean, I grew up with these in Iowa all around during spring and summertime, and this just reminds me of childhood and of home. And for a body mist, these actually last a pretty long time. So if you're looking for a good, affordable, introductory floral fragrance, I would check out French Lilac from Pacifica. If you like lilac, but you're looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, I would go with this one right here. This is Petite Chérie from Goutal. Now this also has lilac, but this also has the additional note of rose. But it is not a thick, heavy vintage rose. In fact, in the beginning, you get a really sweet, juicy pear and peach. So this is more of a fruity floral in the beginning, but as it dries down, you get that beautiful, fluffy lilac with a delicate rose water. This also has a grass note, so it has a little bit of fresh greenness to it that kind of feels like springtime. It gives this a bit of an aquatic touch. There is a little bit of vanilla and musk in the dry down. So this is very ethereal, very refreshing, very bright and happy and feminine. So if you want something that's a little bit sweet while still smelling very natural, very feminine and very delicate, I would go with Petite Chérie from Goutal. And we can't talk about floral fragrances without talking about this travel set that I was sent recently. This is from the brand Caswell Massey, and this has 3 different fragrances, so let's have a look at all of these. First up is Peony, and as you can imagine, this is a peony scent. And peonies are the flowers that I have tattooed on my chest right here that you can see. They are big, fluffy pink flowers, so they're a little bit aquatic and fresh smelling. They're not heavy, heavy florals. And this is on the sweeter side, so you have some wild berries in the beginning that give it a lot of sweetness. But in the base of this, you have an ambery resinous quality that gives it a little bit of warmth. So although this is a sweet, feminine scent, it's a little bit sophisticated and a little bit sexy on the dry down. Sweet, sexy, and it has a little bit of maturity to it. Next from Caswell Massey, we have Orchid. And once again, as you can imagine, this is an orchid fragrance, but this also has freesia that give it, again, a very aquatic sort of feel. This feels a little bit more green to my nose. So instead of being sweet, this is more of a photorealistic flower bush with a little bit of the vines and the leaves that give it a little bit of that green quality, which is offset in the beginning with Nashi Pear that gives a very slight hint of sweetness along with a little bit of tartness from some bergamot. This has a beautiful, clean, musky dry down, and although this has vanilla in it, I don't think it's something that really sweetens it up. It's not very creamy and prominent. This, to my nose, is green and fresh florals with a little touch of citrus. And lastly is Rose. Now, to me, this is a very high quality, slightly vintage rose water. So it's not thick and waxy smelling. It is very sheer, but does have that slightly vintage element to it. But it's made a little bit modern because it has fig. And this is a slightly green fig. It's not an overly ripe purple fig, but think more of a harder green fig that gives a little bit of the earthy, leafy element. And similarly to the last one, it has a beautiful musky, clean dry down. So if you like something that is a slightly vintage rose while still being very, very fresh with a beautiful musky dry down, that is Rose from Caswell Massey. Sticking with the theme of something that feels a little bit vintage to my nose, but taking it out of the realm of rose and taking it into the realm of tuberose and jasmine is this little baby right here, and this is from the maker, and this is called Wile. Sometimes tuberose and jasmine can be quite heavy and a little bit nauseating to my nose, but this is made very fresh with water lily. This has peach and yuzu in the beginning, giving you a little bit of a sweet and sour combination, but it is very mild. It is certainly not a candied, fruity sweetness. It's a very natural sweetness in the beginning with a slightly vintage tuberose and jasmine combination, a little bit sheer with a really beautiful woody base. But I will fair warn you, this has quite a bit of patchouli. So to me, this is more of a sophisticated scent. This is a womanly scent, and this is a very complex scent. So if you're not a fan of white florals and patchouli, this is not going to be for you. But for me, this smells very elegant, very refined, and very upscale. So if you're looking for a fruity floral, but you want to kick it up a notch, I would try Wild from the maker. But let's say you want a tuberose and jasmine fragrance that doesn't read vintage at all, is much more modern, and it's a little bit more playful and fun. This is Lily Fantasy from Juliet Has a Gun, and this is a bubblegummy tuberose jasmine. So it literally has the note of bubblegum in the beginning. So think of the Big League Chew or the, like, I don't know, it's the tape, you know, in the pink, you know what I'm talking about. That's what it smells like in the beginning, with a beautiful floral that comes in, but it feels bright. It feels happy and youthful and whimsical. But in the base, this has ambroxan. So it has a really beautiful, musky, slightly woody dry down that offsets the sweetness in the beginning. So when the florals kind of dissipate a little bit, you're left with this really beautiful skin scent. And because this is a tuberose jasmine, I feel like this lasts longer than a lot from this house. And I know a lot of people have told me that the longevity of Juliet Has a Gun fragrances are a little bit disappointing. I'm here to tell you that this is one that lasts a very good amount of time for me. I get about 7 to 8 hours out of this, and it is a very playful and fun tuberose jasmine that's very modern. If you like My Way from Giorgio Armani, but you want a little bit more of that molecular dry down, this is going to be your friend. That is Lily Fantasy. Sticking with ones that are a little bit more playful, fun, and youthful, let's talk about this one from 5 Sens. This is called Life of the Party, and this is a jasmine fragrance, but to me, this is a very young jasmine. This is not indolic. It doesn't have that heavy, piercing floral scent that a lot of white florals have. This is a very young and fresh jasmine, but it's very sweet because it has black currant and it has peach blossom that give it this beautiful fruity touch. And similarly, this one also has a molecular base. So this has ambroxan, so it's going to give you that beautiful skin-like dry down. If you like Donna Born in Roma and you like Baccarat Rouge, it's as if they had a baby and it was ultra sweet and fun and young and youthful and lively. So this is a perfectly named fragrance, Life of the Party. So if you are newer to floral fragrances, I think this one would be a very fun one to start with. Now I'll say it's not the most complex fragrance. It is a sweet, fruity floral, but is it effective? Yes. And do I think a lot of people would really enjoy this? Absolutely. If you like Donna Born in Roma, this is the one for you. Now, if you want something on the sweeter side, but you're more of a rose girl, let's talk about Wild Poppy from Nest. Now, this is a rose fragrance, but once again, this is not a thick, heavy vintage rose because this has a load of fruitiness to it. This has pear, raspberry, and apricot. So you are getting a little bit of tanginess, you're getting a freshness, but you're getting a very strong syrupy sweetness. But I don't want you to think tooth achingly sweet, too candied. It's more of a natural fruit, but more of the very, very sweet fruits along with a fresh pink rose. It's very whimsical and feels almost larger than life. So if you have a big personality, I think this would suit you very well. And I kind of find it funny that it's named Wild Poppy, because this is not a poppy fragrance, this is a rose fragrance. So if you have a big personality, try out Wild Poppy from Nest. Another fragrance with an incredibly misleading name is Neroli 36 from Le Labo, because I am not a Neroli fan. And as I was trying some scents out at Le Labo, they showed me this one and I thought to myself, I'm absolutely not going to like that. I don't like neroli. I feel like it smells soapy and sharp and so floral and just piercing. But they showed it to me and I'm like, this is actually great. So it doesn't have neroli in it, very misleading name. This has orange blossom, jasmine, and rose, so you're kind of getting the trifecta of florals in this. But you also have aldehydes in this that offer a little bit of a fizzy, sparkling champagne, clean sort of quality. But in the base, you have some nice warming aspects. So you have vanilla, you have tonka bean, and you have musk. So it offers a creaminess. So what this smells like to me, personally, I think that this smells like the most luxurious sunscreen. This smells like a tropical vacation, and I'm really surprised to hear that this doesn't have coconut in it. Because of that tonka and vanilla, that creaminess kind of comes through as almost a coconut type feel. So if you want something for a beautiful tropical vacation, that is floral but sophisticated, and I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It doesn't smell like copper tone. It is so much more than that. So if you're scared of neroli like I am, don't be afraid of this one. That's Neroli 36 from Le Labo. So if you want a floral fragrance that is fresh, yet is a total powerhouse and lasts a really long time, that would be this one. This is from the brand Nasomato, and this is called Narcotic V. And I think this is the perfect name for it because there is absolutely something sensual and alluring about this. And the notes are very simple: tuberose, jasmine, lily, and spices. But to me, I don't really get a lot of spiciness, nor do I get any spiciness out of this. This is a very high quality tuberose jasmine fragrance with a bit of sweetness, but for some reason, this smells so photorealistic and natural. These are very high quality ingredients, so they last, they fix onto your skin, and when it melds into your skin, it just creates this supple, sensual effect. So whoever said that men don't like floral fragrances has absolutely not tried this before, because this is an absolute magnet. So if you want something that really packs a punch, that is Narcotic V from Nasomato. Another fragrance that has an absolute load of different florals in it is Lotus Pear by the Seven Virtues. So as one would imagine from the name, obviously we have lotus, but we have a ton of other florals. So we have Gardenia, which is one of my absolute favorite florals of all time. We also have jasmine, orange blossom, and rose. So for this, you have to really like white florals, but it's sweetened up in the beginning with a delicious pear and peach combination. To me, this bears quite a resemblance to Gucci Flora in the vintage looking pink bottle. I used to own that. I remember it smelling very similar to this, but this one is not as gardenia forward. I liked the one from Gucci, but it is a little bit headache inducing. So if that one, you liked it a lot, but it was a little bit piercing and sharp and perhaps a little bit artificial smelling to you, I would try this one out. That's Lotus Pear from the Seven Virtues. Next, let's talk about a rose that is natural smelling. It's a little bit earthy, but it also has a little bit of spiciness, and I'm talking about Ameline by Phlur. So this has pink pepper and it has patchouli. So it definitely has a spiciness and a little bit of an earthy green touch to it, but once again is not a heavy floral. I'm staying away from those in this video because I think that heavy florals tend to fare better in cooler weather, otherwise they can become a little bit suffocating. This smells like a fresh budding rose cut directly off of the vine with an added bit of spiciness and some patchouli growing around the rose bush. So if you want something that smells a little bit natural and fresh, but you want a little bit of an herbal, spicy kick to it, that's Ameline by Phlur. Similarly, this next one is a little bit of an herbal rose, but it takes it in the more masculine direction. So this is a la Rose, and this is specifically from the men's line of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. So this is the men's version, and this is a fresh rose with sage, and it has a little bit of citrus to it. So it has a masculine, fresh quality. It's a little bit aquatic, and it is very, very long lasting. So although it is sheer, a little bit herbal, a little bit green, you would think something like that really doesn't last that long, but this lasts an incredible amount of time. So although this is very expensive, I do think that it's worth it because it is fresh but very long lasting, which is difficult to do. Now, if you're looking for a floral that is very complex, but it's not too sweet, I want to point you in the direction of this house right here. This is from the House of Sphinx, and this is called Heavenly Lillies. And surprisingly enough, once again, we have a misleading name because this is not a lily fragrance. This is actually a tuberose and gardenia fragrance, but it is more on the bright side. You have plum and honey that give a syrupy sweetness that is natural. It doesn't smell candied. You also have a bitter almond that kind of tampers down the syrupy sweetness of the honey, along with an ambergris and a saffron that give this a very elevated, sophisticated touch, and it is very, very well-rounded. You have a little bit of coffee and tonka in the base, but it is not very prominent whatsoever. It just offers a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of depth to the scent. So this has quite a bit of personality to it. It is fresh but complex. It is sweet but naturally sweet, and it is floral without being suffocating. That is Heavenly Lillies. If you want a floral that is going to be perfect as an introductory to floral fragrances, that is not going to be challenging, this one is fantastic, and it is brand new from the house of Floral Street, and this is called Sweet Almond Blossom. You get some tangy fruits in the beginning, starting with pomelo and passion fruit that give a tart and juicy touch, along with the note of apple blossom. And apple blossom almost smells like a fresh cut green apple along with a floral nuance. But the base of this is very creamy. You have tonka bean, you have sandalwood, and you have vanilla. So it's warming and creamy. It's bright and sparkling in the beginning. And the florals in this are a bit subdued. So this is going to be really good for those of you who are very sensitive to florals. So that is the brand new Sweet Almond Blossom from Floral Street. Now, this is going to be a floral for my niche lovers, those of you who like something a little bit challenging, something very complex, and that is from the brand Wile, and this is called Pear Sentient. So the floral that you're getting in this is a honeyed neroli, and this smells like a fresh neroli from the trees. You're smelling it as a living flower, so it has the brightness, it has the sweetness, but it doesn't smell like the concentrated form that I personally find to be very obnoxious. So I know earlier I said I don't like neroli. This is a beautifully done neroli. But where this becomes interesting, this has the notes of tanning oil and mezcal. So you get this spiced, alcoholic, dry touch, along with passion fruit bitters. So it's not a sweet passion fruit, but rather it has a little bit of a tart darkness. So to me, this smells like a strong boozy cocktail with floral elements and a little bit of tartness with a little bit of an almost mineral-like sandiness. So if you can imagine being on a beach and having the aromatics coming off of your drink, that's what you're getting out of this. It's quite an experience. It is very complex. So for those of you who want a floral that is not simple, you want something that is interesting, that is edgy, that is complex, and something that's a little bit daring, I would try this out, this Pear Sentient from Wile. A floral that is very near and dear to my heart, that is Hot Couture by Givenchy. Now specifically, I have the EDT version. I also have the EDP version, but I find that one a little bit better for winter and fall time because it's a little bit better for cold weather. This one is going to be your girl for summer. So this is going to be another one for those of you who don't want a floral that is going to totally punch you. This is kind of an interesting scent. This is a smoky, spiced raspberry and strawberry with some soft floral nuances in the back, and it has a almost charred wood sort of dry down to it. So some people say that it smells like cigarettes. I don't think so. I think it's way more sophisticated than that. And there is something about this that almost gives me a slightly powdery cosmetic touch, like a vintage lipstick sort of feel, but not too powdery. It is very sweet in a natural sense. It has a bit of a musky, woody dry down with some soft, rosy florals. It is elegant, it is a little bit sexy, and it is complex given that it is from Givenchy. Next is going to be a very affordable fragrance from the house of Lattafa. And you know, with all Arab fragrances, that they have incredible lasting power for the price, and that is Fakhar Rose. And this has an absolutely incredible amount of florals, so I'm going to read them to you because I'm not going to be able to remember all of these. We have tuberose, jasmine, gardenia, ylang ylang, honeysuckle, rose, and peony. So to me, this is a creamy white floral with some fruity candiness in the beginning, but there is something very powdery about this that reads a bit vintage cosmetics. So to me, this is a little bit more on the mature side. So if you like My Way by Giorgio Armani, but it's a little bit too bubblegum, a little bit too kiddish, and you want something that's more powdery, more mature, a little bit warmer, this kind of reminds me of it. It's certainly not a dupe, but they smell similar. This just smells much more mature. So I'll warn you, this is not going to be for everybody because of that powderiness. I think some people might even refer to this as a little bit of a grandma scent. I don't like that term, but you get what I'm getting at. But I find it really warm and comforting because it has that nice musky base. Next one, I cannot believe more people are not talking about this fragrance because this reminds me of the combination of two very, very viral popular fragrances within the perfume community. So the fragrance that I'm talking about is from Navitus, and this is called Ediola. So to me, this reminds me of Delina Exclusive and Nishane 100 Silent Ways. You're getting a citrusy yet powdery rose, and you're also getting a sweet peach and jasmine. So it is as if you took two powerhouse perfumes and combined them and then made it more affordable. And the lasting power of this is absolutely incredible. I think that the quality of Navitus fragrances are really something that people need to look into more because you can usually get these for a very good price. They're under $200, but the performance is incredible. The blending is incredible. You can't necessarily pick out every single note because they're so well blended and they're so delicate, including Ediola. I think this is a masterpiece. So if you like jasmine, you like rose with a juicy peach, a little bit of powderiness, some vanilla, very feminine, very soft, very pretty, but very powerful, this is going to be for you. That's Navitus Ediola. And last but not least, talk about powerful, we are talking about Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper from the house of Kayali. Now I know a lot of people say that they have trouble with the longevity of Kayali fragrances, but obviously they have not tried this one. This one lasts an incredible amount of time until you wash it off of your clothes, until you wash it off of your skin. It is not going to go anywhere, and the scent bubble that it will create around you is absolutely enormous. So this is a rose fragrance, but it is very, very sweet. You have a bit of pink pepper and saffron that really elevate this, and it feels very womanly while being girly at the same time. So it feels powerful yet playful. But in the base, you have this beautiful resinous amber, a little bit of sandalwood that gives it a woodiness, yet a creaminess. So to me, this is a decently complex offering from this house. I know that a lot of these tend to be kind of mass appealing. I do think that this has a lot of character. It is powerful and feminine, outspoken, and very, very sweet, but not understated whatsoever. So if you want something that feels like you're a woman in a bright pink power suit, this is going to be your girl. This is Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper from the house of Kayali. And just as a quick added bonus, I want to show you guys some lotions that I like to layer with my more floral fragrances. So the most floral out of the bunch is going to be Fresh Gardenia from Bath & Body Works. So this has gardenia, honeysuckle, and musk. So this is going to pair well with any of the very white floral dominant fragrances in your collection. This is the most photorealistic floral fragrance with a nice musky dry down. So this isn't going to have a lot of sweetness and is going to pair with those more fresh fragrances. Next is Rose Essence from the house of Orena Fragrances. So Orena Fragrances is actually an inspired by house. So this is inspired by Parfums de Marly de Lina. So you have that beautiful rose lychee. It's a little bit spicy, it's a little bit green, tart, and very refreshing. So this is going to pair beautifully with all of your rose fragrances. An oldie but a goodie, this is Sweet Pea from Bath & Body Works, and this is going to fare well with your fruity florals that are not as floral dominant, because in this you have sweet pea, you have pear, you have freesia, raspberry, and soft musk. So this one is quite sweet and it is very delicate, and I know that some people will say it's a little bit dated, but I think that this pairs really, really well with my more delicate fruity florals. For your florals that have a little bit of a creamy spiciness, we're going to go with the body cream from Phlur in the scent Not Your Baby. So this one has cardamom, bergamot, mimosa, violet, vanilla milk, sandalwood, and tonka bean. So this is creamy. It smells like the top of a baby's head. It is milky, it is sweet, there's a little bit of powdery floralness, and it is just delicious, and this on its own is stunning. And lastly, we have Gingham Love by Bath & Body Works. So this has sugared red berries, blushing freesia, and rose meringue. So this has freesia and rose and a lovely sweet berry. So this is going to go well with your more sweet rose fragrances. Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed talking about some floral fragrances for summer. If you have any suggestions, let's have a little conversation down below so that way we can share the information with everybody. So comment down below your favorite floral fragrance for summer. And until next Saturday, 10 a.m. PST, take care of yourselves, my friends.